just to the north of the county line between Archer and Will-Barger counties. Here's the Wichita County line. Here's the Archer County line. And this is where it's on the track to the east. Go ahead and play it forward again and zoom out just a little bit so we can give some people an idea of where it's moving. So we got Highway 25 here. Cadane Corner, you're included in this warning. We got Kyle on the line. Okay. So real quick here, though. Mankins, you are on the far edge of this warning. You still are included, and as we work our way further off to the north, folks, you're also included in this warning. But really, anywhere along Texas State Highway 25 in western Wichita County, south out of Electra, you are going to be included in this warning. And Noah's going to go ahead and play this forward and try to give us the speed. I think it's moving east probably around, what, 50 miles per hour? So it's moving east about 50. He's trying to get us a little timing there. Okay, there you go. Why don't you try to do it again? We're about to get Kyle on the line, too. Kyle has been watching this storm. He's been tracking it all the way since the western portions of Texoma. And he's had wall clouds, funnels develop constantly with this storm. And right now, it looks like it's finally organized enough that it might be able to actually get something down to the ground. Okay, hey, Kyle, are you there? What you seeing?
Hey, Michael, we are on 25 and 82 right here at the intersection here. There is no funnel cloud, no tornado right now. Just like you said earlier, we did see a funnel cloud probably about 2 or 3 minutes ago, and then we've also seen wall clouds with this thing. So is it moving into a better environment? We'll just have to see how it goes. But we're out here, we're tracking it, and back to you, Michael.
All right, thank you very much, Kyle. Yeah, it is moving into a better environment. Like, Kyle hasn't been able to look at the numbers and everything like that like I've been able to back here in the studio, but it is moving into a better environment. I mentioned on the 5 o'clock newscast that once we get into this 5, 6, 7 o'clock hour, that's really when the low-level jet starts to kick up, is what we call it, and that helps increase the vertical wind shear in the lower portions of the atmosphere. It can help some of these mesocyclones get a little bit stronger and bring something down to the surface. Now, did you go ahead and track that out to the time? Yes, thank you very much there, Noah. So Cadane Corner, we're looking at 5:53 p.m. for you. KMA, looking at closer to about 5:56 for this track on you. Now, that's going to be about the same time frame for Mankins if it does turn more to the south. And then 287, you're not included in this. And I do have to point this out. No warning just yet, but everyone in Wichita Falls, you need to be aware of this. Lakeside City, you need to be aware of this. Holiday, you need to be aware of this. You are not included in the warning just yet. But if this storm continues to hold its strength, we will likely see a warning later on this evening. So hopefully it weakens, but I do want you to be aware that's the track that it's on right now. So let's go ahead and show some people, or let's slow it down a little bit. Let's go ahead and go to the velocity product there on the Mac software. Let's go ahead and show people, because really right now the reflectivity is really the thing that we can actually see where we see that main track, but the velocity is kind of nasty looking, which is really where I want to say this much too. I'm not expecting a large tornado here. This is just not a day for those really strong tornadoes. If we get something, it's going to be on the weaker end. It can still cause damage, of course, but it is still likely going to be on the weaker end here. You can see the velocities. Oh, velocities are looking better now. Let's go ahead and pause it at the end here. That looks a lot better than it did earlier. Let's zoom in just a little bit. So here's our main area of rotation. You got the strong velocities going north towards the radar in Frederick, the reds going away from the radar in Frederick. So that's our main velocity signature. That's going to be in the far southeastern portions of Will-Barger County here, moving to the east. Now, here's a Wichita County line. It is really on a mostly easterly track. It might be a little bit east-northeast, Iowa Park. I also want to let you know you need to be aware of this situation too, because if it does turn a little bit more northeasterly, we'll be talking about Iowa Park if this rotation holds together, which hopefully it does not. But this storm has stayed strong for a lot of this evening, and it's finally now getting the velocities to possibly produce a tornado. Now let's zoom back out here once again. Let's go ahead and look. Let's look down the line. I know we can't do it, but I'm trying to think of a way that we can really pan this out further down the line, because I'm trying to get the timing on it. So let's do that. Let's zoom out a little bit again, Noah, and let's go ahead and do the track again. Let's do that one more time. And pause it at the end here and do that 60 miles per hour east again. And it should be a little bit further than that, because right now you got about...
I was thinking it's 20, right? It's 20 miles per hour?
No. This storm's moving faster than that. Yeah, I thought those times were a little bit slow. It should be moving east at about 60 or 50. Let me see. Huh. Oh, no, they have east at 20. Okay, yeah, so it slowed down a lot. Okay, it slowed down a lot versus what it was earlier. Well, okay, that's why the warning, I was a little surprised the warning was as small as it was, but it is still moving east at about 20, so Yeah, as we look at this line, now if it did take a more southerly turn, Holiday, it would be probably closer to about 6:05, 6:10 for it to reach you. Wichita Falls, it's still about 45 minutes out. That's about the same story for Lakeside City. Iowa Park, it's be about 40 minutes out if it takes a more northeasterly turn. So we got some time here to watch this track. But in Cadane Corner, I want you to take this seriously. You're right along, anywhere along Highway 25 in Wichita County and north out of Mankins and south of Electra, you need to be in your safe spot now. Let's review that. You want to stay away from the exterior walls and windows. You want to get in a small bathroom, small closet. If you have a storm shelter or, whether it's an above ground one that you've built or one in the ground, obviously, an underground storm shelter, that's the best spot to be. But you want to be in that small building or a small room away from the exterior walls and windows. The goal is to put as many walls between you and the outside of your home as possible. Now, I'll go ahead and review this too. If it does continue to track east towards Wichita Falls, if you're in an apartment building, you should know someone on the first floor of your apartment building and try to get in their shelter with them in their small bathroom, small closet. You do not want to be on the second or third floor of an apartment building as it approaches. That is not a safe spot to be during a tornado warning. Now, as we continue to watch this, oh, you tracked it out further off to the, okay.
I just want to give you what happens if it maybe keeps going that northeasterly, it's a slightly path.
Yeah, no, I got you.
Because that just looks the way it's going right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a little bit more, I think it's mostly easterly trajectory with a slight northerly component to it as it moves off to the east here. So those are the safe spots to be. Of course, let's go ahead and put up the graphics there. At the top of my show there, the tornado safety ones. Let's go ahead and put those up there so we can review all these things, as especially when we're talking about down the line towards Wichita Falls, even though we're not expecting long track tornadoes by any means, if this rotation does hold, it could drop multiple small ones. So we still want to be aware of this. So once again, storm shelter, basement, lowest floor, that's where you want to be. That's where I'm talking about, when we're talking about apartment buildings. You want to be in the lowest floor of that home. Now, you want to be in that interior small room, put as many walls between you and the outside of your home, and then you want to cover your head. It's been documented to save people's lives. Wearing a helmet, because a lot of the deaths from tornadoes actually occur from trauma to the head. So, helmets, great thing to have. Cushion to put it, or a pillow, put it over your head. Let's go ahead and look at the next slide now. Those are going to be some of the key points there. But as we're talking about future here, or we're going for the further down the line areas that don't have the warning yet, start thinking about your safe place now. I don't think this is a day where we have to worry about picking a place to meet. Hopefully not, but at least think about that, I guess. And then medicines, charge your phone, sturdy shoes, jacket, all good things to have, because if you do get hit, you got a little bit of rubble around, you want to make sure you have a good pair of shoes on, you don't want to be searching for your medications, and you want to be able to have a charged phone as well as it approaches. So let's go ahead and take a look back at radar now.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. That was a different graphic that I kind of have all the same things on. Okay, so also with the storm, we're watching the possibility of some $50 size hail. I'm just looking at the National Weather Service chat. I'm going to pull this a little bit further so I'm still on the screen. Still looking at National Weather Service chat, make sure we haven't gotten any confirmations outside of NOAA. Yeah, area rotation is, Wichita Falls storm has slowed down quite a bit. That's from Vivek, the lead forecaster over there, or one of the lead forecasters over there in National Weather Service in Norman. Right now he's saying about 6:40 would be the time frame, because he's got all the tools to be able to track that out a little bit better than I do. He's saying about 6:40 would be the time frame for Wichita Falls if this does approach. So right now it's about to cross the highway line. It does look like you got that nice, let's pause it at the end here. This is classic reflectivity. It's not that perfect hook echo that we're always talking about, but you can see it a little bit here. If you look closely, you can see that little notch that's coming in there. There's your inflow notch, and there on the back side, that's going to be the main mesocyclone right there in the center of the storm. It is approaching the Wichita County line. It's probably going to cross the Wichita County line in about 5 minutes, and then it's going to start approaching Texas State Highway 25. Once again, we talked about earlier, probably closer to about the 5:56, 5:57 time frame. Man, I need a little water. I've been talking too much. No, why don't you talk for a second? I need to take a sip of water.
Okay, there's still that nice inflow there. Still, like Michael said, not as good as we saw earlier in the run there, but definitely still perfect airflow in there. So far, slowed down a bit. I've got a couple photos here of the rear flank downdraft and the wall cloud. Nothing appears to be lowering to the point of a tornado just yet, so we're still looking to see if that does occur in the next
Kyle's shot and talk to Kyle for a second. Hey, Kyle,
Okay.
looks like you got a pretty good shot there. What are you seeing right there?
Yeah, right now this is the mesocyclone right here. This is approaching. I'm actually on Highway 25, so this is fixing to come across Highway 25 at Cadane Corner. This is the part where it was pretty pronounced a while ago, but right now nothing screams tornado. Nothing is wall cloudy. Nothing is spinning right now. But we're out here. We're tracking it.
Thank you very much, Kyle. Let's go ahead and go back to radar if we can. Okay, so there's the rotational area that we were talking about. It is about to cross the Wichita County line. So we got Texas State Highway 25, Cadane Corner. You're probably about 5-10 minutes out. If you're not in your safe spot already, you need to get there now. Anywhere along Texas Highway 25, especially if you're pretty close to the county border with Archer County, you really want to be in that safe spot right away. Electra, you're not included in this warning. Iowa Park, you're still on the outside of this warning. Wichita Falls, Lakeside City, Holiday, all outside of this warning. But you want to consider the possibility that you get added to a future warning if this rotation does hold.
And also that point, Michael, is that the National Weather Service has stated that the reason that they keep this on is because a lot of the short-term models say it's moving into a more favorable area. So we're already getting this rotation signature, and now it's going to move into even more favorable conditions for that. That's why they're keeping the kind of cautiousness up.
Yeah, and speaking of, let's go ahead and take another look at velocity. Let's see how the velocity is looking, because the velocity was looking much better a second ago. Yeah, you still got, it's holding strong now, that velocity signature, where we're seeing that nice red going away from the radar, green going away, or going towards the radar. We still have this little gap in the middle. What we want to see is those reds and greens right up next to each other, and we call that really tight rotation. We could call it gate-to-gate shear, where we have the strong outbounds, strong inbounds at the same time. Why don't you go ahead and sample that, because usually it gives us the gate-to-gate shear if you sample it there with the question mark, with the query tool. Let's see if we can sample that. Okay, there we go. Gate-to-gate shear, 29 miles per hour. That's still pretty weak. We would want to see that get closer to about 75, 80 miles per hour before we start thinking, okay, we might get something small getting it down to the ground. So it's still pretty weak shear at this point. We really want to see that, once again, closer to about 75, 80 miles per hour before we start raising that level of concern. And you can see a little further off to the north, I guess, where he put that one, 18 miles per hour. That is still very weak shear. So the concern right now is not necessarily imminent at this second, but it's what can happen down the line with this storm. That's why they went ahead and issued the tornado warning, because we're seeing the rotation. We're seeing the mesocyclone, which is the rotating portion of the thunderstorm. We just don't have anything at the ground yet. Although Kyle, earlier on, probably about 20 minutes ago, I think is when he was texting me this, is that he had a wall cloud with a funnel that was almost halfway to the ground. So this storm has a history of trying to produce tornadoes already, and now it's strengthening. That's why the tornado warning went ahead and got issued, because we're seeing that obvious strengthening of the storm. So they have, lots of spotters. Our Wichita County spotter network is fantastic, and they got multiple spotters on it too. So if there's anything that Kyle doesn't see, they will see it, because we have excellent spotters here in Wichita County. So let's go ahead and go back to the reflectivity product. And let's see how this is starting to look now. So here's Texas State Highway 25. Once again, it's really crossed. Okay, so there's the main area of rotation. It's got a little bit fuzzy at this point, but there's still the notch that's coming through. There's the rotational area. It has moved into Wichita County now. So here's Texas State Highway 25. Going to approach here in about 5 minutes. Everywhere in Cadane Corner needs to be in their safe spot right now. Let's go ahead and take Kyle's shot now. Kyle just asked me to look at a shot. All right, Kyle, what are you seeing?
Right now, it's classic supercell, absolutely classic supercell. On the front end of that, that's where the hell's going to be. We've got inflow right now. The anemometer is showing about 38 miles an hour inflow into the storm. So it still has fuel going into the storm right now. We're at 25 near Cadane Corner. Back to you.
All right, leave the shot up. Put me behind it if you can, because I want to point something out, because you can see some really key elements to what Kyle was just talking about, if you're able to put me behind this shot. Kyle, if you can hold that shot for just a second, if we're able to put me in front of it. I know sometimes we struggle trying to flip back and forth between. Are you able to do it? Okay, he's taking a second. But I wanted to point something out because you can actually see clearly the inflow. Look at the grass. Look how fast that is going towards the thunderstorm. You can see the grass just going in waves. That is strong inflow into that thunderstorm. I mean, it is just, man, that is some strong inflow. And I'm going to point out some other things whenever we get back on here.
Yeah, Michael, that was just the first thing I noticed. I was like, that grass is moving right towards the storm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is strong inflow that's going into the storm. And so when we get that inflow into the thunderstorm, that's going to be the areas there. There we go. When we get that inflow into the thunderstorm, that is air that's trying to feed, because right now it's rotating this direction around the backside. That is the rotational area. So when we got this grass that's feeding all that inflow, I'll tell you right now, that's going to help strengthen that lower level cyclone. Now, what you're also seeing is a little bit of scud starting to develop here. We usually see some of these wall clouds start out as scud. Scud's not a concern on its own, but if we start to see the scud rise or rotate and attach to the thunderstorm, that's where we're going to get concerned about seeing a stronger wall cloud, possibly a funnel, and then possibly a tornado. And so this is definitely a strong thunderstorm. I just know from my storm chasing days, anytime I saw that strong of an inflow going into it, I knew that we were probably going somewhere with the storm. But that is an excellent shot, Kyle. So whenever you get a chance, let's go ahead and go back to radar if we can, Javier. Oh, thank you. That was very quick. All right. So right now, we are still seeing that notch. It's not as good as it looked earlier. It's still right in there. That's the notch. There's the inflow notch, and it actually kind of matches what we just saw in the reflectivity. I didn't see a wall cloud really well defined, but this is still approaching Highway 25. In Cadane Corner, anywhere along Texas State Highway 25, near Cadane Corner, north or south, I want you to be still in that safe spot, away from the exterior walls and windows, small bathroom, small closet. Let's go ahead and look back at the velocity product if we can, Noah. And so right here at the end, let's pause it. Yeah, it's gotten a little bit more ragged, but yeah, you can see all the air. This is all the air that's going away from the storm or away from the radar up in Frederick. All the air that's going towards it. There's that strong inflow that we were just talking about that we could see on Kyle's shot. And so this is very broad rotation, a little bit tighter right here in the center, and that's exactly where we would expect it to be. And that's where we're going to have to watch to see if there's any kind of a wall cloud or tornado warning. I'm still keeping an eye on National Weather Service chats and making sure that we don't get any new information that maybe Kyle can't see from his vantage point. Let's go ahead and flip back to the reflectivity. Let's zoom out for a second, too. We've been really focused on the storm, and obviously it's the main storm of focus, but it's not the only storm. We don't have any more severe storms, but further off to the north, there are still some stronger storms. Let's zoom into the northern portions for a second while we wait to get some more radar scans. We're not going to leave Wichita County, of course. We're going to come back to it, but we're kind of waiting for some more scans to really get a good idea of what's going on. Here's a little line here. It's going to produce some pea-sized hail, maybe some 45, 50 mile per hour wind gusts moving through portions of Tillman County, just moved through Frederick, about to approach Chattanooga and Granfield. Also in Lawton, probably seeing a few rumbles of thunder, some light showers too, not going to be anything particularly heavy. Out towards Wichita Mountains, you're going to see some heavier activity there too, with possibly some penny-sized hail and some brief rumbles of thunder, but 45 to 50 mile per hour wind gusts possible there. Not much to talk about though overall. Further to the southwest, this has been the surprising thing, is that we really expected at least several of these storms, and not one really as strong as the one that we have moving into Wichita County, but several of these on the lower end capabilities, and really they've struggled to materialize. But we are starting to see, with that low level jet that I mentioned a second ago, starting to kick back up. We are starting to see a little bit more activity getting going in the southwestern portions of Texoma, really out towards Haskell County to the west there, moving into Throckmorton County, but nothing too organized just yet. Something to keep an eye on, but overall, not the main threat at this point.
A little bit more trying to rotate there with that inflow boundary.
Okay, so right now, we are starting to see, yeah, it's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah, it doesn't indicate a wet RFD push. Yeah. So right now what we're trying to see is it's mitigating some of its factors that would produce a tornado, which is obviously good news. We don't want to see a tornado form. But man, that inflow notch, so positive at the end here. So it's something that can mitigate it here in the short term, but I think we're going to get another tornado warning issue, because that is one heck of an inflow notch there going into the center of it, right along Highway 25. That's right where Kyle was just out looking at this with that strong inflow. This is going to be the rotational area. I still think this is a storm that could produce a tornado. Also, watch quarter-sized hail, half-dollar-sized hail here in the purple areas. We don't talk about that enough when we get the rotational area. That right now is definitely on track for Iowa Park. So Iowa Park, I would expect here in about 25 minutes, probably going to be seeing some of that hail rolling into the area. I know you're probably getting some showers now, some rumbles of thunder, but right now the rotational area at least looks to stay south of you at this point on its current track. It doesn't mean that's going to hold, but right now it looks like the hail threat is definitely coming for you in Iowa Park here in about 20-25 minutes, with some quarters to $half sized hail being the most likely threat.
Yeah, and right now, I mean, obviously, you see that inflow boundary, the inflow there. It's pretty wide, but if that thing thins at all, but keeps that level of inflow right above Canadian Corner, that is when we're going to be really concerned, and that's what I think they're worried about, Michael, as far as when they get into more favorable areas, does that thing thin out, basically, because then the winds become gustier into that inflow boundary.
Yeah, it's definitely a strong inflow notch, and I think once we see the next scan, we'll get a good idea if this is starting to develop a little bit more of a hook again like it was before. If we see that inflow start to go back around the side, that would be a sign that we're starting to ramp this thing back up again, and it could be back to producing some wall clouds, maybe some funnels, and hopefully not a tornado, but that would be certainly possible. Pleasant Valley, you're also going to be considered here for this next tornado warning if it gets issued, and I do expect it, based on how the National Weather Service is talking, I would expect another tornado warning to get issued. That would include areas further east into Wichita County.
Michael.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about. You're starting to see more of that notch going back into the storm. And so there are some RFD surges that we call it the rear flank downdraft. It's usually where we see the strongest winds in a supercell thunderstorm.
Okay, Michael, so they've opted not to do a tornado warning.
Okay, they're opting not to do a tornado warning. Okay, that's good news, because that means we get a little bit of a break, and hopefully we stay off the air and you can get back to your programming. And you don't have to listen
they're
to us.
going to do a severe thunderstorm warning with tornado possible. There is potential for 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts given the RFD push. That's what they're going with.
I was just talking about the RFD. It's what we call the rear flank downdraft. Most of the storm is rotating up, but on this back side is where we can get some strong down drafts, and we call it the rear flank downdraft for a reason, because it's on the rear flank of the storm on the southwest corner, and that's where we can start to see some of those stronger winds surge, and that actually likely could track towards Wichita Falls on this current warning. So, new severe thunderstorm warning has been issued everywhere from Wichita Falls north towards Burke. Lakeside City, you're on the edge of this because it's in only Wichita County. Does not include Holiday in this warning. Why don't you back that up a little bit more to the west there, Noah? Because really, that's probably starting a little bit too far to the east. But Iowa Park, you're likely going to see some of this hail rolling in. And as he draws that on there, just move it a little bit further to the right. There we go. Yeah. All right, let's time this out now. So Wichita Falls, 624 Bacon, 621. That's going to be that spot between Burke and Wichita Falls. They're right in the center of Highway 44. Pleasant Valley, 617, and then Iowa Park, 612. And really, Iowa Park, I think it probably is another 10 minutes until it reaches you. But that's where we can see the $quarter to $half sized hailstones. And then also, we're of course watching the rotational threat. We're going to let you get back to programming, because we don't like to stay on too long if we don't have a tornado warning active. But we do have the severe thunderstorm warning with the tornadic activity possible. It's just not organized quite enough yet to issue a tornado warning on it. But of course, if we do get a tornado warning, we will come right back on and tell you about that. I think the main threats for Wichita Falls at this point is going to be this rear flank downdraft, bringing in some strong wind gusts with it. Right now, the main threat, I think, in Iowa Park is going to be the hail that comes in here, and it's probably $quarters to $half sized hail. I think that's about as big as it's going to get. I don't see this being a large hail day, as I mentioned earlier on, if you saw the 5 o'clock newscast. But that's going to be the main threats there. Lakeside City, Holiday, once again, you are not included in this warning. So we're going to let you get back to programming. We will come back on probably shortly to give you another update. Thanks for sticking with us here at Channel 3.